Good morning, and you're welcome to today's episode on our webinar series, Hair from Dun and Bradstreet, Nigeria Limited. My name is Olamide Odeneye, and I will be moderating today's session. And our speaker, Adetola Adeyemi, is also on ground to do justice to the topic that we will be discussing today. So I think we just want to wait for a few more minutes to get more people in the room before we start. Thank you so very much. Please stay tuned. So good morning, everyone. Thank you so very much. We will be starting now. You're welcome once again to our webinar series from Dun and Bradstreet, Nigeria Limited. And today we will be discussing a very important topic. And I would like to introduce our speaker for today. But before I go ahead and introduce Adetola, I would like us to note some of the housekeeping rules. All lines are muted by the organizer. Please feel free to submit all your queries and concerns through the chat box window. You can submit your questions through the question and answer box during the webinar. Dun and Bradstreet shall share the webinar recording after the webinar. And please feel free to reach out to us at info_Nigeria@dnbsame.com in case you would like to speak to the speaker directly after the webinar. So our agenda for today, we'll be having a welcome address and the introduction of the housekeeping rules, which I've just done. We'll give you a short brief about Dun and Bradstreet, Nigeria. a brief about Africa Resource Center for Excellence in Supply Chain Management, introduction of our guest speaker, the presentation on leveraging real-time solutions for optimal fleet management. Then we'll go to some discussion, definitely questions and answers, and then we'll have our closing remarks. I will be your moderator for today's session. My name is Olamide Odeneye. I am a senior business development manager with Dun & Bradstreet. I've been with them for about 2 years, and I've come with a wealth of experience in sales and business growth from various industries. I currently champion the growth of Vendor in Nigeria. Our speaker is Adetola Adeyemi, CSCA-ISCEA. He's the head of business development and partnerships at Szenaz Integrated Trade Logistics Limited. Adeyemi Adetola is a certified supply chain international trade professional and an associate member of the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport Nigeria. With over 10 years of experience, Adetola specializes in supply chain operations, logistics management, and business development. He has worked with Jetstream Africa and currently leads business development and partnerships at Szenaz Integrated Trade Logistics Limited, focusing on international supply chain, logistics, and fleet maintenance management. So I'll just like to go into a short brief about who we are at Dun & Bradstreet and what we do. We pride ourselves by saying that we have been growing relationships through data for almost 2 centuries. We were established in 1841, and consistently we have ranked #1 on Fortune's list of most admired companies in the financial data services category. We carry over 550 million business records. We trade in 181 currencies. We are domiciled in about 198 countries, and we speak 95 languages. We pride ourselves by saying that at one point or the other in their careers, we've had 4 different American presidents who have worked with Dun & Bradstreet, from the likes of Abraham Lincoln to Ulysses S. Grant. Now, why do clients like to work with us, especially when they need to improve their business performances? One of it is because 90% of Fortune 500 and companies of various sizes all around the world rely on us to help protect and grow their businesses. We have over 2 billion yearly updates to our global trade data. We are a leading source of hierarchy and linkage. And like I mentioned earlier, we carry over 500 million business records. We have a lot of comprehensive business data as well as insights. What have we been able to do here in Nigeria as Dun & Bradstreet? We established the CRC Credit Bureau in conjunction with some other Tier 1 banks. We designed and we implemented the risk management and rating models for the CBN, as well as for some other Tier 1 and 2 banks. We conducted a rating exercise on MSMEs in Nigeria on behalf of SMIDAN, the Bank of Industry, as well as the Exim Bank. We developed and we maintained the NNPC NIPEX portal. We developed a centralized vendor management portal for procurement managers, and this is being used in various industries, from manufacturing to pharmaceuticals to power to utility, and a whole lot of other sectors. And currently, we are building Africa's largest MSME database in readiness for the full implementation of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. So I would like to hand over now to the representative from the Africa Resource Center for Excellence in Supply Chain Management to tell us a little bit about who they are and what they do. You have the floor. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. I am Dr. Stephanie Oluide. I'm a manager with the Africa Resource Center for Excellence in Supply Chain Management. We're really excited to be here today and to be collaborating with the Don and Bradstreet team yet again on another webinar. So this is our second go at this, and we're really excited to be here today. Thank you to Mr. Womo, Janet, and the rest of the team for making this opportunity possible. And thank you obviously to my colleague Peter, and last but not least, obviously to our speaker, Mr. Adeyemi, who will be shedding some light on our topic. So just to speak a little bit to who RKSM is, we are a resource center. We pride ourselves as a resource library that has access to supply chain expertise, financing, apologies, previous slide, please. Thank you. Expertise, financing, innovations, and solutions suitable for addressing gaps in the public sector and in the industry. We're a registered company. We were registered in 2020, but we've been functioning prior to that, initially as a project since 2016. So we've currently been in existence for about 8 years. And we currently have worked in over 3 countries and are present now in about 12 states in Nigeria. We have 3 resource platforms, which I'll be speaking a little bit more to later on. And our vision really is to achieve equitable access to medicines and healthcare commodities in Africa, with a primary focus on Nigeria. Next slide, please. So in terms of how we've been able to house resources around expertise, supply chain knowledge, supply chain tools, and other financing and the likes, we've created 3 resource platforms which serve as sort of communities or networks for different sort of groups of individuals and corporate organizations. So we have our private sector membership platform, which is a platform that I manage. And my colleague Peter was also on the call. We work together to manage the platform, and we are focused on creating a network of corporate organizations with supply chain expertise, tools, and resources to address specific gaps in the public health supply chain system. We work with the likes of pharmaceutical companies, so local manufacturers, distributors, wholesalers, third-party logistics providers, product manufacturers, solution providers, and the likes. We also have another platform called the Center of Excellence platform, which focuses more on education and research. And we have collaborations with both local and international training institutions like MIT, both in the US and in Zaragoza, Spain, Arizona State University, ISCEA, and one of our local supply chain experts, which is a Multimix Academy. And lastly, we have a platform called the Expert Pool Platform, which is a talent pool of professionals basically from across Africa with expertise in various sectors across public health, pharmacy, ICT, and the likes, who are building their capacity in supply chain management to be able to support the government and the private sector to address supply chain issues. At this point, I think I'd like to mention that our speaker actually is one of our resources from the Expert Pool platform, and his company is also a member of the private sector membership platform. So he's a member of 2 platforms as I'm aware of. I don't know if he's had any access to the Center of Excellence platform. And so he's a true representation of who we are and the network that we're building as an organization. Lastly, sorry, next slide, please. Hello? Next slide, please. It seems we've lost our moderator. I think I'll just quickly project the slide from my end.
You can hear
Okay.
me. I think it was just
Okay.
in the network. It's raining here on my end of Lagos. I don't know, so that could be one of the reasons. So I'm trying to see if I should switch to another network provider. But please go ahead.
The slide isn't up
Back
yet,
now.
though. Or can anyone else see the slides?
Can we see the slide?
Not at all.
No,
Okay.
I'll be sharing it now in a minute, please. Yeah.
Okay, Janet, will you share?
Yeah. Should be visible now.
Okay, thanks. Can you just put it in a presentation mode? It's a little tiny. Awesome, thank you. So just to quickly wrap up, I just thought to touch on a few of our achievements to date. I mean, we've had quite a number of milestones over the last 8 years, but I thought this was very important to highlight in terms of what we've been able to achieve so far. And I'd start off with obviously the support that we've been able to provide to the government, both at the national and at the sub-national levels, in terms of supporting the development of critical policies, guidelines, frameworks, and the design of supply chain systems to improve and ensure availability of health commodities, and to also support human capital development in the public sector. We've been able to also facilitate public-private partnerships between government and private sector to improve access, availability, and affordability of medicines and health commodities in various states in Nigeria, so far in about 7 states. We've also been able to build, we're currently working on, and building supply chain capacity in the local pharmaceutical ecosystem through our PSL platform. By working with the local pharmaceutical companies, we begin to adopt and implement global best practices and standards for local manufacturing. And lastly, we are building a local talent of supply chain. Like I mentioned, through our export pool platform, we've been able to create a network of over 200 plus individuals of whom I see quite a number of them actually in the webinar. So thank you for joining us. And some of our members from the PSL platform, as well as from government on the webinar. So thank you so much for joining us. And that for us is really building that critical mass of people locally who have the right supply chain expertise, education, research background to be able to meet our capacity needs and gaps in supply chain in Nigeria and in Africa by extension. So on this note, I'd like to hand over back to Olamide. For those who may like to reach out to us who do not know us yet, we'll be sure to share our details after the session. So over to you, Ms. Olamide.
Thank you so very much, Stephanie, for that insight into who you are and what you do. So I think we'll be going straight into the presentation now. Janet, please, can you move to the next slide? Janet, I don't know if you can hear us. Please, can you move to the next slide? So our topic for discussion today is leveraging real-time solutions for optimal fleet management. And our speaker is Adeyemi Adetola Oluwadari. So Adeyemi Adetola, I would like to hand the mic over to you now so you can take the session. I guess it's because Ade.
That's right. Good morning, everyone.
For that.
Thank you so much, Ms. Olamide. Good morning, everyone. And good morning, Dr. Stephanie, once again. And I would like to say a special appreciation to the Bradstreet team and Africa Resource Center for Excellence for Supply Chain Management Nigeria for having me, be the guest speaker on this wonderful topic today. And for everyone on the call, I say thank you for joining. Please, next slide, please. So just to run through our table of content with the presentation today, we have the introduction and the organization I currently work for, which is SITL Limited. Then we go straight into what fleet management is to us, with a perspective and a focus area really looking at the health supply chain ecosystem, really, and then contextual issues, current issues that we face in supply chain. We face in fleet management as of now. Then the evolution of fleet management technologies, then moving down to management tools evolution in itself, the business impact of fleet management as the case may be. Then we'll also explore why the need for real-time solution in this day and age for every fleet manager or every supply chain and logistics operational professionals out there. Then we now look at how we can leverage real-time solutions for optimal fleet management, then the future of fleet management before we go into the question and answer session. Next slide. Like I said, I currently work with a company called CSCA-ISCEA Limited, and we're just a Nigerian integrated logistics and supply chain organization focused on international logistics, basically, where we help corporates and individuals with their cross-border logistics. And one of the key things for us is actually high-quality products for our clients at every point in time to drive a cost-effective manner of operations and best-in-class experience for our customers. Next slide. So what is fleet management? And going back on what the topic is really, for us to understand how to get real-time solutions for optimal fleet management, we really need to understand what fleet management is in itself. Then I'd like to just share this from mixtelematics.com, which is a company from South Africa and operates across the globe. Defines fleet management as all set of actions that need to take place to keep fleets running efficiently, on time, and within budget. It is the process fleet managers use to monitor fleet activities and make decisions about their proper asset management, dispatch and routing, and vehicle utilization or vehicle acquisition and disposal. In context, for every fleet management operation, it's actually just the set of activities that you do to help you optimize your fleet operations, either in terms of cost management, in terms of efficiency, in terms of fuel management and your driver's management with compliance to safety regulations. All this set of activities are what we actually call the fleet management in itself. And these are procedures every supply chain or logistics manager are expected to know in deploying skills for efficient fleet management operations. Next slide. So this is another definition from another company from the USA saying fleet management is the process and systems used to control and optimize operations, maintenance, compliance, and overall performance of a company's fleet of commercial vehicles with the purpose of reducing costs, improving efficiency, and increasing productivity. These are key metrics that are actually very important to every fleet operator. Next slide. And we're going to be going into the polls right now, and I would like the moderator to help, put up the poll. How do you currently manage your fleet as of now? Do you use a manual process? Do you use the legacy systems, just ERP solutions, or you have a customized systems inbuilt or outsourced? Is the poll up?
Yes, the poll is up.
Okay. I think we can move on to the next slide if the poll is done. You're not wearing anything.
So please indicate it's a single choice question. Okay, thank you very much, Janet. I think the results of the poll, they're up now.
Thank you. And from the data in itself, we can still see that a whole lot of people, even on the call, are still using manual process to optimize, to run their fleet operations as of now. And I must say that this process is really not as efficient as you would expect it, because from the poll, we have a whopping 69% of people still managing fleets manually. And this in itself is task reading. It is not efficient. It is highly cost driven. And so, and that's the reason why we are having this session today, to help us explore opportunities of having real-time solution and technology adoption for efficient and optimal fleet management. Next slide. And this is the second poll. What are your most pressing pain points in managing your fleet as of now? Is it managing your fleet operational data? Is it cost management, inadequate planning for your preventive and corrective maintenance, or others? I can see some people are dropping their feedback on the chat box. Please try and use the poll. Fantastic. From the result of the poll now, we're seeing 47% saying cost management is actually one of the biggest pain points for them, followed by inadequate predictive and preventive and corrective maintenance structure before moving into operational data. And all of these key metrics are actually interlinked or interdependent on each other, because when you have a system, a technology system that helps you with your fleet operational data warehousing and management in itself, then if the system with AI and the power of big data capability can help with efficient predictive analytics for your preventive and corrective maintenance, and also you'll be able to have real-time analytics for your cost management, because while you are feeding in all of your data into the system, you can always, project your actual spend against your budget allocation for every of your fleet asset or mobility asset or operational assets that you need to utilize. Next slide. So like we said, and like we have seen from the polls, current challenges that most fleet operators actually face, you say high fleet downtime, increased operational costs, just like the last poll, as it insinuated, inadequate fleet data management, driver safety and productivity, cost management initiative, regulatory and compliance issues, because when you don't have a technology system that helps you with real-time prompting of when your vehicle documents are expiring, you are bound to actually forget until you have regulators or task force people stop your vehicle on the way before your driver alerts you that is like my vehicle acting permit has expired. We have not renewed it, and all of that is time wasting and not cost efficient for your operations. Next slide. So this is actually just the full definition of some of the issues that was highlighted on the previous slide. High fleet downtime will always lead to an inefficient fleet optimization, either due to unexpected breakdown or unavailability of quick repairs for your spare parts supply. Because when you do not have a system that helps you predict your preventive maintenance and corrective schedule, you are bound to have some of this unplanned breakdown in your fleet operations. And this will always make you be chasing a firefighting approach to ensure that, one, you have the safety of the goods in transit back up in real time, even the safety of your own assets and the driver's life is actually very important at the time, because if a breakdown happened during the odd hours of the day or of the night, and at a very bad location where we have issues around insecurity and all of that. So this is some of the reasons why, as of now, in this day and age, every fleet operator needs to start thinking of investing some sort of their annual budget allocation into real-time optimization of technology to be adopted for their fleet operations. And we have increased operating costs because you are not able to predict and manage your cost in itself. It is whenever your vehicle breaks down, you are going into the market to have purchases done for supplies, which might actually take time for your supplier to get your spare parts back to your offsite location where the truck is before you now mobilize your technicians before they get to fix it. You would have lost so much in time, you would have lost so much in money, because if you have a system that helps you predict, you would have been able to have some sort of inventory in your warehouse for some of the parts that you're going to be using to maintain your fleet real time. Inadequate fleet data management is another issue, and this is actually the bedrock of all of the other things that the technology-driven fleet management solution is actually going to help you do. Because when you are able to feed in a correct and adequate data into the system, then it's able to help you predict some of the initiatives that you need to deploy with your fleet operations, and you'll be able to have an optimal fleet of execution per time. Next slide. The evolution of fleet management technologies. Fleet management technologies in itself has actually evolved in parallel pace with communications technology, because for one of the key, we have three key pillars in the supply chain, and this is actually the flow of money, the flow of information, and the flow of cargo, or the flow of goods. And for all of these three to work together, the flow of information is actually quite critical, because for a customer to communicate to a supplier, you need to talk to them. And for a supplier to deliver the goods to the customer, he needs to talk to the customer as well, and talk to every other person within that value chain of communications. And that's the reason why at every point that we have seen or experienced development in telecommunications or communications technology, we have seen an escalated growth with fleet management technology as well. And we can see from this infographics here, from the 1920s to the early 1970s, we have the basic radio communication, which is the major tool for fleet management, communication and management in itself, apart from all of the manual activities that goes on the ground. Then moving on into the 1980s and early 2000s, we can see the advent and the development of satellite technologies, the GPS communication, and that has helped us with the blown out deployment of ERP solutions with telecommunications giants like Microsoft, SAP, Oracle, and these are the technology solutions that were at the forefront of fleet management in itself, because they were now building models to help manage every node of the supply chain activities. Then moving on to the from the eras of the 2000s to 2020, we have seen a massive growth in telecommunications with 3G, 4G, LTE, and fiber optics. And this as well, for every of those nodes, we have seen massive development in fleet management technology as well, giving us real-time solutions where you can have dash cams on vehicles. Either you're using a four-wheeler or you're using articulated vehicles, you have dash cams, you have other solutions that can help you manage your fleet real time, and you can get your real-time data from all of those solutions while your vehicles are in transit. Moving on to 2021, we can see what we are experiencing in telecommunications as of now with 5G deployment and Internet of Things and big data analytics with EVs and the adoption of proprietary technologies for fleet management in itself. And looking to the years ahead, 2030 and beyond, with what we have and with what we currently are experiencing with data, big data analytics, advanced telematics, and AI as of now, we expect that there's going to be a whole lot of massive change in this industry for fleet optimization. Next slide. Now, management tools evolution. Like I said earlier, the advent of the EPS or ERP systems, the Oracle, the SAP, and Microsoft Dynamics that have helped develop individual models to manage individual supply chain nodes focusing on fleet management operations in itself now, then we can now see that they are being used in tandem with telematics systems such as Geotab, Mixed Telematics, Eon's fleets. That's one local, that's a Nigerian brand that's actually doing great things in Nigeria right now when it comes to deploying solutions for fleet management operations in itself. Then we have local now. Then 10.0 is another Nigerian brand, and we have GPS inside. So using all of these technology systems together with the ARP systems or what we have. But now we're now seeing a growth in the trend where we are having the usage of all of the technologies, both the EPS systems together with telematic systems and an entire fleet management system in itself that can actually share APIs together to help fleet managers or fleet operators approach their fleet operations to drive optimization and reduce costs and set necessary KPIs for their fleet operations per time. Next slide. We're going to have the next poll now. And the question is, do you currently use a standalone fleet management system for your operations, or you use multiple operation systems? So from the results of the poll, we can see that we have a 55% distribution saying yes, they currently use a standalone system, and some are saying no. So for the 45%, that are saying no, that means they have one or more systems that they currently use that in managing their fleet operations, and that actually speaks to the previous slide that we spoke about. Next slide. Now we're going into the business impact of you using a fleet management system for your fleet operations. These are industry statistics, saying when you deploy a technology-driven fleet management system for your fleet operations, you have the opportunity to have increased inventory visibility and reduce lead time, because when you're dealing with your vendors and your suppliers, the lead time of you making a request and them supplying you spare parts into your warehouse before you get to dispatch those spare parts to your technicians for repairs per time, you are going to be wasting time, and when that lead time is not clearly stated out and not clearly managed, you are going to be you are going to have high costs of maintenance in your repair requests per time. And when you have a technology systems deployed as well, you can see that your repair request and your work order fulfillment and data management is actually intact, and you're able to have a 95% predictability for what your repairs are going to be now and even in the future. Then you have real-time cost visibility for your budget, for your actual spend against your budgeting, against your budget allocation for your fleet operations. Likewise, you have multiple data points that the system in itself is helping you to generate data that you can actually analyze and deploy for your fleet operations. Just a minute. Apologies for that breaking transmission. So industry facts, again, like I said, maintaining cost reduction up to about 10 to 15% is one of the benefits that you get to have when you deploy a technology-driven fleet management solutions for your operations. And you can see in terms of fuel management, you have the advantage of saving your cost up to 20%. I mean, and I think this is one thing every fleet operator should actually be looking at within the Nigerian ecosystem, with what we have experienced in recent times with high volatility and the cost of fuel, which is like about 30 to 45% of every transportation cost is actually going into fuel management in itself. Then when we talk about your insurance claim, when you have a fleet management solution that helps you with your process alignment, you are able to negotiate and negotiate better in terms of premiums with your insurance partner, because they love your insurance partners actually love it when you have a systemized process for your fleet operations and you have everything seamlessly documented. Then reducing vehicle downtime, you have the opportunity to reduce that with about 20 to 30% and have real-time visibility on your predictive, preventive, and corrective maintenance per time. So, and companies that do not have any form of technology with their fleet operations, you can see some of the negative effects in their operations. You are going to be having high cost of maintenance. You are not able to manage your fuel cost per time. Your insurance claims, I mean, because you do not have a systemized and aligned internal process, you have that wing of paying high premiums for your insurance claims per time, and you have high turnaround time for your vehicle downtime. Because you lack real-time visibility, you can't predict when your next preventive maintenance is expected to happen, so as your corrective maintenance as well. Next slide. We're going to have this poll now saying, what are the major factors of capabilities that you would consider or you will consider when choosing a fleet management system? Consideration or metrics for everyone when choosing a fleet management system, because efficiency is very key. When you save time, you technically save money, and you save every other thing that is expected when it comes to your fleet operations in itself. But it's so amazing that there's nobody actually chose anything that has to do with data management. But that is actually the bedrock of every other thing to help you even drive efficiency in itself, because what you can measure, you can't control. Next slide.
I think we just
Sorry, apologies.
okay, you're back. All right.
Break.
Okay, Adetola. Thank you.
Dennis, can you help with the slide again? Thank you. So moving on, why the need for real-time solutions? One of the things that I would like to have a basic scenario explanation now, focusing on the health ecosystem, health supply chain. So if you think about the distribution of temperature-sensitive drugs or temperature-sensitive food items, these are food items that are being transported or distributed via cold chain trucks. And for you to have an effective management of your cold chain trucks, apart from you or apart from the activities that is being carried out by the fleet manager to ensure that, yes, the refrigerating system is actually up and running, there is need for a temperature logger to be on that particular vehicle within the refrigerating cabin in itself, so that real time, when the vehicle is moving and there's a drop in temperature, aside from what is required for that particular product, either food or drugs, to move from point A to point B, it alerts, the system in itself alerts the fleet manager or the logistics manager via email or text message that there's something wrong. If the temperature logger has been set to read nothing less than 5 degrees for fresh milk distribution, for example, and for some temperature sensitive drugs, it has to be frozen to like, let's say, -5 degrees. And whenever things are changing per time while the vehicle is in transit, the technology is able to give you some alert emails and text messages, so that you know wherever you are, to know that there's something wrong and there might be, the products in transit might actually be endangered before it actually reaches the final destination of delivery. So this is a basic scenario that I would like us to always envisage or think through whenever we are trying to deploy or adopt technology for our fleet management of fleet operations or fleet management in itself. And these are key metrics that we need to look out for to say why the adoption of technology for real-time solution. I mean, it just helps you streamline your operations and give you an efficient supply chain management for your fleet in itself. It helps in terms of your effective and personalized team collaboration, because everybody working on your team, from your safety supervisor to the driver doing driving the truck part time and doing real-time inspection of the vehicle before he sets on his journey. It has to conduct the pre-trip and post-trip inspection for all of these vehicles, and you can see everybody set of activities and their work being done real-time on the system. And it gives you a competitive edge of significant cost savings. Like I said earlier, I mean, you are able to manage your actual spend versus what you are budgeted. Then it gives you ease of scale. But if you have a fleet management technology deployed for your fleet operations, you can manage a larger pool of vehicles per time, as against you having a manual documentation for your fleet operations. And advanced data collection points is one of the key things that you need to start thinking about, and how to use your big data that this system is helping you to generate from multiple points of entry. Next slide. Next slide, please. So, like I said earlier, what you can measure, you can control. For us to be able to take real advantage of our fleet operations, we need to set and communicate clear business KPIs, fleet business KPIs to our people. Next slide. So, and these are key specific areas of KPIs that we need to set for our fleet operations to be able to derive optimal fleet optimization from our operations per time. You know, budgeting and cost control management is very, very important. And managing our downtime and repair TAT is actually another key focus area that we need to look out for. Then vehicle lifecycle, vehicle lifecycle management, so that we're able to know, measure when actual spend on repairs is actually outweighing us having the vehicle in operation itself. And then we know that it's time for us to actually discard that vehicle in operations. And managing our fuel cost and efficiencies and other key metrics that we need to set and communicate as business KPI. Next slide. This is just a continuation of some of the things. I mean, safety and inspection, regulatory compliance is one of the key things that we need to set business KPIs for and use a technology-driven fleet management solution to help us drive, as well as drivers management and asset handling behavior. Fleet utilization is actually the final thing that we'll actually get when we implement all of these KPIs and deploy a technology solution for our fleet operations. Next slide. So the future of fleet management technology, like I said earlier, we are in the economy where data is the new oil, and big data and AI capabilities are actually doing wonders when it comes to fleet operations right now. So we need to tap into the opportunities and possibilities for our operations. Next generation telematics are actually going to be built on Internet of Things. That's why we have we have technologies and developments of autonomous vehicles right now. We have the drone technologies that are actually going on within the West, but we are yet to actually start adopting some of these technologies here in this client for our fleet operations. Blockchain and distributed networks are some of the things that we are expected to see in the future. Cybersecurity and data governance is actually one key thing. As we adopt technology, we are thinking about the security of our private data and business data as well. Then environmental sustainability and governance is one of the key things that we expect to see when it comes to all the technology for fleet operations and management that we hope to deploy and adopt in the future. Autonomous vehicles, like I mentioned earlier, we are now having electronic vehicles and alternative powered vehicles in itself. Even within the Nigerian economy, the government has been pioneering the distribution of CNG and LPG-driven, LPG-powered vehicles. We have on the client when it comes to supply chain for marines, we have companies that are already test running some of the ships, either to run on ethanol and other biofuel components. Next slide. And we have come to the end of the presentation, and we need to go into the question and answer session right now. And I think I'd like to hand over back to Ms. Olamide.
Thank you so very much, Adetola, for that insightful discussion on the topic. I think I have just one question here. Okay, there are two questions now. I think the first one was based on one of the examples that you had given as regards the temperature-sensitive product on transit. So the question was, does the technology only detect temperature-sensitive products on transit?
Not at all. But not at all. You have all-encompassing solutions when it comes to fleet management to drive optimization. However, I just use that as a case in point that so that we are able to relate with it, because I know that we have lots of medical professionals on the call, and when it comes to medical supply chain, that is one of the easiest and basic example I can easily give. It detects more than just the temperature, but the temperature logger in itself work together is going to be connected through an API with the telematics system, so that, like I said earlier in the presentation, we are seeing a trend where we have multiple systems working together to help us drive optimization for fleet management. But then going into the future, we're going to have technology systems that are going to be encompassing all of these individual connections together as one to have a robust fleet management technology system.
All right, then I have another one here. It says, is there any specific workshop management software you can recommend to introduce in my operations, which will help reduce maintenance cost, downtime, and increase efficiency?
Yes, I think there is one that I can easily remember right now. You can Google it, workshopsoftware.com. Wherever that is, workshopsoftware.com, and I think that should be able to help. But the only challenge is that because we are yet to start seeing the development of localized solutions, you are still going to be subscribing to those solutions using USD, and sourcing for FX is actually a major challenge for operations right now. And for you to be able to drive your cost, you need to have a solid negotiations when you are engaging this vendor for this solutions.
Okay, I can see Stephanie Fowler is also trying to send an answer to that particular question. So what fleet management solution in your suggestion is best suitable for a vehicle maintenance outfit, servicing up to 100 vehicles or more a month?
Okay, so now I won't be able to give you a straight answer until I'm able to see what your internal processes actually are currently for this 150 vehicles that you have mentioned, because you're not just going to be looking at the maintenance part of things alone. You need to look at things holistically, from maintenance down to driver's management, down to your workshop inventory management, down to invoicing and supplier and vendor management. So you need to be able to use a system that encompasses all of the nodes of your value chain together, as just against just workshop management. Because if you say workshop management, you're just going to be focused on the labor, which is your technicians, man-hour management, then the cost of your inventory, and some of them might not even have the inventory module infused with that. So you still now have to have another ERP system that you have to connect together with that particular solution, so that you can have a good real-time solution. So if probably after this session, whoever the person is, we can have a one-on-one conversation, then I'm able to come have another quality set of questions with you and your team and do a process audit with your operations. Then I'm able to apologies for that. Then I'm able to help you see what the issues are. Then I'll be able to recommend this particular solution that best suited for your operations.
Okay, and then we have the last one here, which says, do we have a professional body in Nigeria that gives certification on fleet management?
As of now, no. And we have a lot of fragmented operations, let me put it that way, within the industry. And that's one of the key things, that's one of the key reasons why webinars and sessions like these are actually very important for fleet operators, for fleet management, so that we're able to come together and, form some sort of coalition to put things together in the right perspective, and we can, drive some of the things that we need to be able to have all the standards and what's it called, and set of approvals within the ecosystem.
Thank you very much, Adetola. And like we said, if you have any other questions, just drop them in the question and answer box. We'll be sure to take them if we still have time at the very end. And definitely you can reach out to speak with Adetola directly using the email that I shared in the beginning, info_Nigeria@dnbsame.com. All right. Janet, I think we're done with that segment. Okay, so quickly, we'll just like to jump into the vendor solution, which simply is a third-party management made easier. I'm happy that, during the course of Adeyemi's discussions, he's talked more about, he talked about compliance, he talked about, data security, and the need to ensure that, we are utilizing technology to ensure that we make our jobs better and easier. Next slide, please, Janet. So what exactly is Vendar? Vendar is an online access tool that allows procurement to be able to gain, number one, access to verified alternative suppliers, as well as have an overview of their own supplier base. It also helps to clean and update the database of vendors that you have currently, as well as to prevent the risk of supply chain disruption. Vendar comes in 3 different user profiles. You have the supplier profile, which is the registration site where the vendors can actually include all the details of their company, upload information, add the list of products amongst others. And it has a brief dashboard with a summary of all this information as well as an option to be able to edit. Now, we believe that once you get on board of this platform, definitely there will be growth on your side. And so there will be an opportunity for you to keep editing, information to showcase the growth that, your company now has. We also have a profile for the procurement, which helps the procurement team to have an overview of their entire supply base, the distribution analysis, and have detailed company information at their fingertips. And it also provides an access of a database to alternative verified vendors. Then you have the last profile, which is for the admin side, which is accessible to the D&B team. And this contains all the information about the registered companies and allows the users to be able to keep track and to move the companies along on the verification process. Please note that all registered vendors go through the D&B proprietary process to get, that validation. So simple supply intelligence. This is just a brief dashboard of the way that vendor looks, once you log into the platform. So like we said earlier, you gain visibility with the dashboard. You are able to see your entire portfolio's performance segmented by geography, by products, amongst other things. You have a proper drill down of the company. So it gives you more or less like a 360 view of the company. So you're able to see all their predictive scores. You're able to have financial information, have legal information, government indicators, including diversity status, and a lot more. And it also helps you to locate alternative suppliers. So quickly, just from the comfort of your laptop, because it is a cloud solution, so you can access anywhere that you are. You can find alternative solutions by industry location, by their size, risk factors. It could be anything. So that is all available on Vendor. Next slide, please. Now, we understand that procurement teams, they love mounting pressures on them right now to be able to validate all their suppliers. So we're trying to ensure that they are able to find the best possible suppliers, ensure that they are able to look out for some specific products, and also upgrade data management best practices. We know they are under pressure to be able to manage risk. They should be able to anticipate and also prevent supply chain disruptions and ensure that they're able to reduce outdated information across, all the multiple systems that they carry, especially, when you're doing things manually, and that is part of the things that Adetola also touched upon. Accelerate due diligence, improve transparency in all the processes and ensure that they're able to reduce their dependence on their own personal networks. And also improve cost efficiency. There's a mandate. They have a mandate for profitable growth. And they have a mandate to ensure that they are increasing cost of labor-intensive processes as well as to ensure that, there's a proper supply chain optimization in place. Next slide, please. So this is an example of one of the companies that are currently on our vendor platform. This is Walter Smith. And as you can see, before you can even become a supplier or a vendor to Walter Smith, you have to have gone through the verification process that is offered by Dun & Bradstreet. And at the end of your verification process, you are given what we call a DUNS number. This is a unique identifier for your business. It's a 9-digit PIN, but we will talk about that later, which means you've checked all the boxes, we've crossed all the T's and dotted all the I's to ensure that we can put a stamp to it to say, yes, this company is who they say they are where they say they are, and they do what they say they do. Next slide, please. We also have another example, Seplat Energy, also on the vendor platform. And like I said earlier, before you can become a supplier or vendor, you have to go through all the requirements for your document validation with us at Dun & Bradstreet before you are allowed, to come on board with Seplat as a vendor. The next slide, please. We also have Ikeja Electric. We're just showcasing some of the companies, organizations that we have on the vendor platform. So you can see here as well, you have to go through the process of validation. So we take on this process to ensure that, there's a compliance across board, that this new vendor that is coming on board will not disrupt, any of the things that you have on ground currently, and you are able to quickly find alternative vendors who have been verified by the process of Dun and Bradstreet. And an interesting thing about having the Dun's number is the fact that you get listed not only on the vendor portal, but as well as the Dun and Bradstreet global database. And like we've mentioned, various companies around the world trust us, when it comes to ensuring that business data is accurate and correct. Next slide, please. We know that for MSMEs and MEs, their main targets are actually want to increase their turnover. So they also have a mandate for profitable growth to ensure that they can retain their customers. There's a rising need for vendors verification from industrial customers. Establish a level of credibility within, the landscape, within the business environment, and enhance cross-selling as well. This is very important for an MSME because, it helps with their growth. They're able to expand, especially when you are on a portal like Vendor. You become an alternative supplier to somebody else, any of the companies that are on average. So that way you are growing, you are able to cross-sell because you can update your information. You don't need to manually start to write letters or send emails. You easily go to the platform and you update. If you're doing something new, you update that on the platform. And, this is an example of the way the vendor platform looks like. It's very simple and very easy to use. When I talk to people, I tell them, if you have all the documentation that is requested for you to be on this platform, it takes you less than 30 minutes to get registered. And, it takes about 10 working days for us to go through the entire process of your verification before issuing you what we call a DUNS number certificate and all of that. So it's very simple. You just upload all your documents. You go to the products and services, every other information that has been requested for, you upload, and that is it. So I'd mentioned earlier about the DUNS number, which I call the unique identifier for your business. It's a 9-digit PIN, and it gives better insight into potential risk, fraud, and compliance issues. It's an identifier, like I said, it's like a fingerprint. It's only for your company. And the interesting thing is the fact that companies all around the world depend on this system. Once your company has a DUNS number, they know that you have gone through the process and you have built a level of trust. So we have a lot of governments who request for it. You can't do anything with the FDA, for instance, without having a DUNS number, the European Union, the UAE government, the Australian government. I could go on and on. So it's very important that, you are able to have this unique identifier for your business. Now, what are some of the data that we capture? This is a Nigerian use case when we want you to go through the verification process so you can get on Vendor. So we ask for identification data, your company name, your registration number, contact details, contact persons. We ask for basic financials, so sales, profit and loss. We ask for certifications. So any awards or your company certifications, anyone that you've done, because we also understand that for some various OEMs, especially when it comes to technology, they like to certify that this company, yes, has certification and has expertise in some of these things. So we ask for all of that as well. And then company documents that would include your certificate of incorporation, your allotment of shares, your list of directors, bank reference letter, your financial statements, as mentioned before, and then your products and services. And we have a wide range because the products are classified by the UN SPDC code, and that carries a lot. So there's definitely avenue for what you do there. And we also like to end by saying that our data actually tells a story. Our data tells a story because we understand that a corporation may be failing every 3 minutes. We know that a new set of accounts are keyed in every 36 seconds. We know that a business address can change every 15 seconds. And a business can file for bankruptcy every 8 minutes. But you know the interesting thing about the D&B database, we update it every 3.9 seconds, which means that at every point in time, the information that we carry is correct and accurate. Thank you so very much, Janet, for running through the slides. Thank you so very much. We've come to the end of the webinar. As you can see, if you are interested in reaching out to us, we have our addresses here, Dun & Bradstreet Nigeria Limited, SITL Limited for Adetola Adeyemi, our speaker, and we also have the details for the Africa Resource Center for Excellence in Supply Chain Management. You have Dr. Stephanie Oluide there, who is the manager for private sector membership. That's the platform for private sector membership as well. So thank you so very much once again. I don't know if we have any more questions here, but you can reach out to us at info_Nigeria, info_Nigeria at dnbsame.com. I will just quickly run through the messages. I don't know if we have any questions there, so that we can be sure that we have done justice to all that we need to do. Okay, I think we're good. We're good to go. And that's all. I would like to say a very big thank you to all our speakers for today, Dr. Stephanie, Adetola Adeyemi as well. Thank you so very much for being on this call and joining us on this webinar series. We'd like to thank all those who joined us as well. Please feel free to reach out to us after this webinar if you have any questions, you want any clarifications, or you would like to speak with any of our speakers. My name once again is Olamide Odeneye. I'm the business manager for Vendor here in Nigeria. Thank you very much, everyone, and have a fantastic afternoon. Bye-bye, Adetola. Bye-bye, Dr. Stephanie. Thank you, Janet, once again, for helping us to run through the slides.
Thank
Bye,
you,
Dr.
everyone.
Stephanie. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Lovely afternoon, everyone. Bye.